Welcome to today's live trading New York session with Harmonic Scanner and pitchforks. Let's get started. Share screen. And no red news today, but there is tomorrow. So we'll start with GBP USD. And from the session this morning, it decided to go, we were on at this point here. So it decided it didn't like that, and it's gone all the way down here. So there's no trade on this at the moment. I'm going to leave that there so I can back test that. I can see it in an old scan there. So it's not on a, well, it's come down off that pitchfork there. Oh, where's my quarter theory gone? Seem to have lost my, that's very strange. Lost my indicator. I could switch the other ones on. I'll put it on in case anyone wants to see how to do it. So we've got it's called Harmonic. Jeff. Switch this on for a minute. Wait a minute, let me look at another one. HPF. So go up to indicators, HPF, that one. And here it is here, go to settings, leave that. That's the 1 minute trend, and the 930 is the 15-minute. So change that one to orange, that one to bright blue, and then this we all have in the same color because that's the quarter theory and they are all equal. Pale orange, that's what Chance uses. Then if he's looking at our charts to give us feedback, then he can instantly tune in with the same eye. And there are, you're good to go with that. So there's the quarter theory. So GBP USD didn't want to do that. And then in New York, a very nice break and retest, and then down from the 62, and that would have got your, from there, that would have got you 30 pips. That would have got you your 20 pips there. So it's on its way back up above the 62. So we can put an alert on. Actually, I'll do it the other way. I'll put the alert on quarter theory. Add alert. Sorry. GBP USD on the quarter theory. That. So that's going to go off in a minute. So that's GBP USD. Euro USD I wanted to look at, and I didn't seem to have that open. I don't think I've looked at that today. There. So I have that there, remove that. It's an old alert. So we've had the 62 has 1 minute trend has crossed over all the way back, probably at open of market. There's another alert up there. Here we are in Tokyo. Sometimes I have found that it's moved then, I don't know why. So it's come down, still dropping down. Just looks like it's evening out now and coming back up. Oh. So we haven't got, I don't think we've got enough to go on with this one. Because it just looks like it wants to come back round to meet that 15 minute line. It's in between this area here, which is about 15-17 pips. So even if we get a break and a retest, we've got to be above that 62, a little bit off that pitchfork. We don't know because this is technically selling. So that the orange is saying at the moment buy, but it isn't a downward trend for a sell. And then the pitchfork is now saying buy. And the quarter theory at the moment is saying sell because it's below that. So it's sort of caught in the middle there. So I don't think we've got a lot to go on there. So I'll come back to that maybe. NZD USD, we'll look at our Canadian and American dollar pairs. So we've got the orange, looks like it might be, is it crossing or curling off it? It's not crossing at the moment, so it might be carrying on in an upward trend. NZD USD, so we've got, where's our scan? Let's go to the 30 minute. So the scan here was a sell scan. Let's get rid of some of that. I don't really need it for Friday. And back to the 1 minute. So we've got a downward trend. It looks like it wants to cross, but it's just curling along it at the moment. And even if it comes down past this quarter theory, that's only 40 pips. So we haven't got anything until down at this area here. So although we could go for a buy or a sell, I think I'll put that down there at the moment. But if that is technically buying the 1 minute trend, the 62, so it may want to curl. See that upward trend forming there. But if it does, then our next level is right up here, back up here. So we could put one up here as well. And that might do something in Tokyo session. It's got to get all the way up there. It's not particularly fast pair. So I'll close that one. NZD CAD, Canadian dollar. We've missed the move because pitchfork below quarter theory. We've missed the move for this session. It's now broken the 15 minute there, coming back up to test the 62. So break and retest, and then another break and a retest, and I presume, yes, that's on the hour. So the entry was here. you could have got in there and you still would have been all right. But obviously it then came all the way back up, and you wouldn't have known that when you'd got in there. You just would have had to have decided what you were doing at this point, whether you thought it was only testing the 15 and not going any further, in which case look backwards left to see where previous lines of resistance are. Not that one, because this has already broken that, so further back. Sometimes chance says he gets in on the second downward candle, but that wouldn't have saved you in that sense. But there's the hourly, and then that's a nice entry there. So it is working its way down, but we've missed that one. So that would have been round about here. 10 pips stop loss.
Is that your dog snoring, Sarah? It's a bit off-putting.
It's not mine. Mine is. The reason I'm sat right back here is mine is asleep at my feet, and I don't want to disturb him. I found it a bit comforting, actually. I quite liked it, but I've turned it off. But no, it's not my dog. So we're just, so purposes of education, have a look at where our previous lines of resistance are. So I've gone to the 5 minute. It's not particularly fast moving pair, therefore you won't get 50-60 pips out of a pair like this normally. So there is quite a lot of stall out there, which would take you here to about 15 pips. So I would look for that sort of area as my, although that's on the 15 minute where it crosses, but I would look to that sort of area to see whether I could get any more, because a pair like this won't always run all the way down there for 30 pips. So I'm going to close that one. I'm not going to mark it up with anything. It is a downward scan. This solid white line denotes the median, so therefore you can now take buys or sells. So just mark up your, and that's 70, so you can take quarter theory, but just and there on the 5 minute there's the upward trend, but that shows it's broken it. So you could put your trend line on the 1 minute up here. You could look at quarter theory, or your next level is down here on a sell scan. So, and this is NZD CAD. So if it's not moving a lot more in New York, then wait till Tokyo, which would be 1 AM your time. I don't ever trade this black zone here on this strategy, which for me is that's sort of 2300 to 10 o'clock through to 1 o'clock, about 10 till 1, and that Sydney session is the one that I've got unchecked. So I'm going to close that one down. That wants to look at ORDCAD, which was this shark pattern, if you remember, that we've been following. That was the entry 2, and this very pale pink line I've got sat behind was take profit 1, which it's now hit. But you can see on ORDCAD, which is a very nice one if you're fairly new to this strategy, it's a speed of 4 out of 10, and it just works its way gently along, and it's just coming up above now. Now I've marked that as at quarter theory, because we've only got, if we got in, say you got in above the 62 there, you've then got a brick wall at 8 pips, and after your broker spread and commission, it's not really worth bothering with on this strategy, otherwise you're never compounding your 2 to 1. Quite nice. I can see an old green pitchfork where it's whipped off perfectly. I quite like it. And oh no, not over there, but here. So your entry point here is, we'll put an alert here, and I know I've got one up here, but it's I'll show you on the hourly what we're looking at. I'm going to remove that one. So a buy scan, and that's where we are with it at the moment, looking for it to come above that quarter theory. Because it hasn't hit the median, we are waiting for that. But these were the entry points as taken off the scanner, 50% take profit 1 or take profit 1, which is the level it's now at. So you're looking for a buy on this at the right time of day. So our alert is now on the quarter theory for that one. So I can close ORDCAD till the alert goes off. May as well look at GN, which we don't trade. Well, we do secretly, but not often. You see, I haven't been in this, obviously, but I'm now a bit obsessed with it. So I've marked it up because it is a buy scan. These are the outer extensions with the quarter theory there. You can see it was going slightly upwards, hasn't moved a lot for GN, and then it's just dipped down, suddenly dipped down again. And this is why it takes you out, because it's the fastest pair in the market and it takes you out a lot of the time. So the pink one is pink lines. You can kind of ignore them. They're a bit of an old thing. Don't have too many things on to get us confused. I'll just drop it down a bit. But I can see it did respect it to stall out there. So it is working its way up. You can see the higher lows there, but we want it to clear that quarter theory, and we're waiting for that 62 to point upwards, but I wouldn't recommend trading it. Even Chance says that. I'm sure he does, but he tells us not to. But he's very, very, very experienced, and he tells us not to trade it, although he was looking at a markup on it this morning, I think. So that's where you'd be looking at. I'm not going to put an alert on. What I am going to do with GN is go back through the sessions, 10 days worth, with vertical lines and look at how it moves. I'm just quite interested to look at that. So I'm going to shut GN down. This is the one I've just copied, which is the new 4-hourly EURGBP, which obviously is an Asian session pair. So I've just put that in the group. So we're looking, just come out to the hourly. I know it's 4-hourly scan, which 4-hourly will mean it's slower moving. I think that's what it means. So it's hopefully going to retest the D point and then come down. I can't remember which chart it was, but I said it had moved so far off the D point it wasn't going to do it. Then of course it turned back round and went all the way back up to the D point. I just can't remember which pair it was. So here we are on the 1 minute. Let me see how much that's off that. It's only a pip, so we do consider that a touch in this market, which is 6.6 trillion a day. So break and retest off the D point. A lot of stall out along all that quarter theory throughout the whole of Tokyo and London. Cross back above. So here's an old pitchfork here, which it's been wicking off, that little green line there. So it does look like it's coming up again. So we have to work off pitchforks. So I'm going to put my trend line here. And this might come up in Tokyo session. Not that I trade that, but I like to see, obviously, like any sports person, as Chance says, you want to replay the films, see how you've discussed things and how it did work out. It's just moving up there quite sharply. Is it going to come up here, or is it going to fade and work its way down here? In which case, what do we do at this point? Well, we look to see if it's over 60 pips. It's not. So our next point of entry is not until down there. So I can put one of these on here. And have a look at it either way. Oh, interesting. Had that happen before? Thank you. So that's all JPY set up. I think we're up to, I'm not up to date with drawing my scans on the JPYs, that's all. There's that USD, I did the old one just before this session. So I've got to do the USD JPY and there's a Euro JPY, which I haven't done, which I can't see. That's on H4. H4, there's Euro JPY. Oh, that's a very odd one. Slipped off there. I wonder if we've got that somewhere else. That's better. That's better. I'm not going to draw it now, but C to D 129. So that's fine, and it's already down, already moved down to take profit too. So I'll leave drawing that for the moment. Euro CAD, just go through our US session pairs first. If we've got some spare time, we could do that, or if anyone's got any questions on anything. So Euro CAD had a, this was when we were on this morning, round about here, so it worked its way down, retested the 15-minute, retested the 15-minute, came to the end of London, break and retest, and then down here for the sell, because you've got pitchfork touch mandatory, check 1, break and retest, check 2, 13 pips. Oh, 8.6, 8.8, so that's fine. Break and retest there. That's the hourly candle up here. And you've got the 62 has crossed below the blue. In fact, that happened quite some time ago. Way back 25th, yesterday, tea time, and it's been in a downward trend, strong downward trend, the euro against the Canadian dollar ever since. So let me move this over. So break and a retest, what's that, about 15 pips back to the quarter theory and the 62. Another move down again. So this was a very good entry, although you've got the quarter theory cutting through. That would have cut through your entry. So not an ideal entry by about where your stop profit would be. So I'm just going through this one because I'm wondering whether we look at it for a sell. I was just looking to see where previous lines of support and resistance were. So back there at 1.55235, thereabouts. Can't see any back here for ages. Okay, so let's come back to our 1 minute and magnify it. So what's the problem with this one? It's now saying buy on that 62 in terms of it's above it, which means it's broken it, although it is in the downward trend below the 15-minute. So it's pushed it into our price trap area, and we need it to clear that area at all costs. It must clear that area. So if you had If you had got in off the quarter theory, let me just see, sorry, I've forgotten the measurement. You wouldn't have got in here because it's not 60 pips on the leg, which is the exception to the rule. If it's 60 pips or over, we can get in at quarter theory. So your only entry would have been here, and what would have put you off is the fact that quarter theory is running bang smack through your 10 pip stop profit area. So it wasn't a brilliant trade to take anyway, and we can't take it now because of everything I've just said. So there's no trade on this. So what we're looking for is now this next area down here. So I'm going to move that here, and my ideal entry would be where it clears that quarter theory, and I could just cover that pitchfork. I'd probably want to put it two pips above, 1 or 2 pips above, in case it wicked back above that area. So I'm going to put an alert down there and see what happens there. And it has been in a long downward trend, hasn't it? So let's see how much more it's got to do. I'll close that one down. EURGBP. CAD JPY. It's just crossing above the blue again. And our scan is this one. So I've put that second pitchfork on, which is X to A, and then I could only fit it off the outer extension. It didn't fit on one of the inner ones. I had to use one of the outer ones. So in this case, it's what you call a best fit. It doesn't align exactly off the main pitchfork with the C or the D. So this is a second pitchfork. Hang on a minute, let me just... so with that scan, with the new scan that we had before with the D point of the 19th of August, if you notice, it was a very, very, very steep scan, and price didn't like that at all. It stalled out at this quarter theory at 80.000, and when was it down there? Cool, end of July. Cool, that's a move, isn't it? But Canadian dollar is linked to oil. It will respond to oil movements. So maybe there was the oil meetings then. I don't know. So here we are climbing upwards, and where has it been? Up at 81. So that's 50, 100, 150, 253, nearly 400 pips down there in nearly 2 months. And I'm just looking to see when it's been this high before. Right back up here. 82 back in June. So huge move, and then stall, and it's coming back up. I mean, I'm not trying to predict what's going to happen, I don't know, but I like to see the parameters. You can see it down here on the days range. I do look on this right hand side. You can see days range. At the moment it's in the selling. 80.54 was its lowest, and the highest 80.95. The 52-week range sitting nearly up at 84.75. So I do quite like to look at, I don't bother with all this stuff beneath it, but I do sometimes glance at that Not that it affects what I'm doing, I have to say, but I sometimes like to just have a look at what these pairs do. So that's curled away. We've got a pitchfork there, but we're waiting now. I think I might put a channel on this. So that's the channel. Whoops. That's, you could have it right down here. That might be better actually. So you can see how it's flattened out in the channel. It's not gone straight to the bottom, to the top, right to the bottom. It's leveling out. So that says that it's probably reversing down because it's come down. Here's this parallel. And it's not carried on its upward momentum. That was the downward channel. There was the upward channel. It's tried to make a downward channel, but it's just ranging across at the moment. And the 62, our current momentum, our current trend in the market, has curled away from the 15-minute. So I'm going to put an alert here. But from what I looked at on price, I should be very interested to see if it indeed wants to come up, because the bankers from the previous highs back in June have left a lot of money sat much higher up, and they will want to buy to sell and sell to buy to collect that liquidity. So it's just a question of when they're going to do that. But looking at this now, it looks to me like it wants to break this channel and moved down again. So maybe they want to move it down before trying to springboard back up further from previous. And I do need to study the banker strategy more. So that 26th of August high there. And is there any other high that's nearby? Here, there, at that 81 mark. So they've pushed it up this far, but they've still left money. They've left a bit of money. They didn't get it quite up high enough. So they'll want to come back for that. But at the moment, I'll mark it up that way. And put my alert here and have a look later to see how the market played out for this session, and then New York, Tokyo. Well, I might not be looking at it at that point, but that's what it seems to be doing. So if it is coming down here, then the next thing I would do is put that there. And we've got quite a big problem with that as a trade. Chance wouldn't like that at all, because you've got two very big barriers stopping price coming down. But that's what it's looking like at the moment. And I love doing this because it helps me, well, I hope it helps you as well, helps me learn when I backtest and I replay. Sometimes I don't always replay it. I'll just look back and see what happened. But it's the replaying that's important. So that's CAD JPY. So I'm going to close that because we can listen to the alerts. ORD USD. And also this morning I was trying to look at correlating pairs. So if I was interested in, say, a trade on EuroCAD, I then went to look at Euro NZD and Euro ORD. Warren and I were talking about, I think it was Warren, we were talking about, it might have been John actually, set up these 8 screens on my MT4. This is my demo account, one of them. And I put the correlating pairs, I haven't done it today, but you can see I've got Euro USD, Euro ORD, Euro NZD, Euro ORD and Euro NZD. So I could, and there's Euro CAD over here. It's got slightly out of sync. and then I just save a template because I happen to like the 62 and I put the SAR flip on. It's just something historically I've done. So then I can have a flick over here, have a very quick look to see what the correlating pairs are doing. So EN's a very fast pair. You can see it's curling round slightly. Euro CAD still going up strongly. Euro USD following the same pattern. Euro AUD following the same pattern, although that's as fast as Euro NZD as well. So I quite like doing that. And then if we were just looking at AUD JPY, I would find that over here because I just find this visually a nice screen. I know it's a bit old-fashioned compared to being on CTrader, but I am very fond of that's AUD JPY. I've just clicked on that, left click and dragged it over. So I can see that on the 1 minute visually, it shows me candles are pushing up for a buy, but the SAR's flipped. This is set at 0.2, which is the closest you can have it. And that's flipping it, showing it's flipping back down. Anyway, that's I just thought that might be interesting. So AUD USD strongly on its way up, hasn't done the orange curled around just as we came on the session. A little break and a retest off quarter theory, hasn't done a break, hasn't done a retest back to the pitchfork though. This was a shark entry to take profit 1, which it's now passed. It hasn't come up to the median. So we're looking at buys on this. So let's come to the 1 minute. And I just want to see when it did cross over. So last week, sorry, I mean yesterday, in London, and then it took quite a long while to do 50 pips because it is a slower pair. So it took 14 hours to do its 50 pips, and then in Tokyo it barely moved, what, about 20, 25 from there, and indeed through to all the way to close to open of Tokyo, of New York, 12 hours to move. Just got that slightly off on the left, but it doesn't matter, just to make the point. 20 pips there, 19 pips, but I've got it slightly off. So that is, so 20 pips in 12 hours, which is hardly anything. And then it's dipped back down to the take profit one. So it took a long time to get to take profit 1, didn't it? So it's on its way up. And if we get a break and a retest, the only problem is we've got the orange sat in our price trap area, which we don't like in case it curls round on us again. But if you wait for it to come up here, then we might miss the entry. So it's always a judgment, isn't it, in this sort of thing. So we'll put our long position on. Another problem, we like to cover our pitchfork or quarter theory. I can see an old pitchfork there, but technically you'd want to have that at about 13, and that's if we're in. That's another reason why sometimes you need to get in very precisely. That's the whole point about the benefit of the 1 minute. But it does mean you've got to be precise with your candles, look at the timing. But that's how we can get away with a 10 pip stop loss on the 1 minute. So we're now only 2.5 pips or so away from a retest. So we'll have mandatory pitchfork touch, check 1. If we get the break and the retest and curl round, that's check 2. And then we've had the 62 cross above the 15 minute quite some time ago, so that's check 3. And also I think we've got probably got a break of trend. That's EURGBP going off. So we've got our, you can see your upward trend there. And just looking to see when it broke it. Whoops. So there's the break and retest of the 1 minute trend line. That looks quite a nice break. So that gives us our confirmations. Break and retest back to the 62 and the 15 minute. That's just past the hour, that wick's down there. So that's what we're waiting for here. And then we'll go and have a look, see what's happening on EURGBP. I'll just put that there. Right, EURGBP. That's buy. EURGBP. Okay, so I had that. That's taken all that time to come down here. I had that channel on from this morning when we were on, and I can take that off now. It's not helping. So I can see some old extensions there. It's just sat between those for the whole of London, and now it's started to drop. So this is a London session pair. So we've got a break and a retest, but the 62 is coming down. So the only thing is that's a small break and retest. I'll remove this, remove that for the moment so we can see what we're doing. So we have got the orange well below the blue, and that has given us, it's only 2.5. So that's not very big. It's just shooting up a bit there. So it crossed over right in, didn't really cross there, in Tokyo 24 hours ago, made a little move up, and then it's been in a downward momentum all that time. It's reached the median. This was a buy scan. So great big arc right back down to the D point. That's interesting shape. I think that's one of Manny's charts to learn, isn't it? I've looked at it really briefly. It's a bearish bell curve or something, quite obviously. So that's very interesting, isn't it? We can take buys or sells. So the question is it now going to move further down to that quarter theory at 0.89, 500, and then turn around again, or carry on even down to those extensions? And I'm not that keen on EURGBP in New York either, I have to say. There's a previous point in resistance at that 8.9, 500. Quite a lot of stall out there. So it may well want to come back down to that point, in effect, where that D point is, if not further. So let's just come back to the 1 minute. So anyway, it's just done a very small break and retest. Nothing huge. So I think we need to wait for that 62 to curl down. It is a slow pair and you are not in London session. So normally I wouldn't expect it to move a lot now anyway. So not overly keen on it as a trade myself to bother with, I have to say. But I'll, oh, now it's going to make my alarm go off if I set it. Better take that off then because it's just moving as I speak. Oops, sorry, did that wrong. I meant to find that higher. I was looking at that higher level. It's quite a shallow downward trend, isn't it? So you're going to be in that for quite a while. If you do get into a trade like that, it's not going to go bang down. But that was that previous line of support and resistance. There's two old pitchforks sitting, one there and one there, where price could potentially stall out. So ideally, I'd like to see a more confirmed, I'd like to see that come down more. And I'd like to see a more confirmed break and retest. Meaning that's 6.4, so something like that. So I'll put a line on there. Let's see what happens as an alert. But not really one of my favorites to trade in the afternoon. So USD Chef, I had this marked up. So I had put my alert here, waiting for it to get out of this price trap area. And again, similar to EURGBP, we're waiting, except the orange is above the blue here. We'd want it to cross down and we want to see a more confirmed break and retest, which actually you did get here. So it makes life a bit difficult because on both occasions there, it has broken a decent number of pips. So if we look at it, you had a little break and retest there, rather similar to EURGBP. You wouldn't want to get in. Then you could have said, you know, I'm going to look at this. But so because that's too small a break and the orange, you're waiting for it to come down. So you wait for your break and your retest. So why wouldn't you get in here? Because it's buy candles, because the body of that little green sell candle, it's only a wick below the pitchfork. It's not even an aggressive entry, it's a wrong entry because it's above the pitchfork. There's another buy candle, there's a doji blue candle. The sell candle wicks off the pitchfork to the buy side. The next sell candle wicks off the pitchfork to the buy side. A blue buy candle wicking perfectly to the pip off the pitchfork to the buy side. A green sell candle nowhere near it, and so on and so on. Then it's above the 62, it wicks off, rejects off again. So you're thinking, okay, can I get in here? So if you had got in here, below the 62, which is crossed below, I can see you would have got caught out, and I could totally see that. And there's nothing you could do about that. I probably would have fallen for that myself as well. So again, it did its 8 or 9 pips to the same level. So the only thing that might have saved you is that when you came back up here with a strong momentum, that impetus candle, buy candle, and then a doji, you probably, and it's above, oh, they're all going off, and it's above the 62, you might have decided to have called it a day and got out of the trade because of the equal lows, and then reading it like that, because that would set my heart racing. Above the 62, I've got higher lows. I know it's difficult because we don't want to exit trades early, but if you're looking for your 10 pip stop loss, you know, you can see you're going to be taken out probably. So let's look at ORD. Finally, the dog's moved. I can pull my chair in. It's getting very hot on my feet. ORD JPY, wasn't it, that went off? And we've just come up to the hour, so this could be an hourly fake out candle. Brilliant. Bang where we want it. So we're now, I think this happened to us yesterday when we were just finishing a session, and I said it's in the right area. So I just don't want to run over the dog's paws. So let's put that on magnification. So we've still got strong upward momentum of the 62. So you don't want to get into, but we're only, hang on, forgotten myself. Are we only looking for sales? We're only looking for sales because it's not reached the median. So we stick to that rule because you've only got 40 pips between pitchfork legs, so you can't take a buy or a sell. So that's good. Helps us make decisions. So what we need to look for is that price, the 62 curls round, and obviously price rejects off and comes below the 62. Okay, if it carries on up here to the extensions, well, there's nothing we can do about that. There's still no trade at all until it behaves in that manner, whether it's here or it then moves up and then comes down here, because all JPY is an Asian session pair. So that is what we are looking for on this pair whenever it happens and come what may. Okay, so that's that one. And what happened on EURGBP? That is doing a bigger break and retest. So we have got something here. So except it's a London pair, that's the only thing. So that would give us 7.1. That's the old pitchfork, it's wicking off there. And how many pips is that off the current pitchfork? 1.8. So you can consider that a touch up to, I think Chance, Samantha doesn't like doing it that way, but Chance does. He says he will take up to about 1.5 or even 2 pips as a touch. But obviously, the more to the pip, the better. So it's just wicked off it there. So the thing that I don't like about it is it's a London pair and it doesn't move very fast. So I don't want to get into this as a trade. I don't have any need to, but I will get, I'm just going to say I'll get into it on demo, and it's just going up again. So it might push up to test that line. We'll just give it a minute, because you don't want to get in on anything. If you're getting in on a sell, why would you get in on a buy candle? You just wouldn't, no matter what you think the market's doing. Just let the market tell you what you should do. And we've got 5 seconds left of this candle. We'll just see where the new one opens. And this is the new one, which again is a buy candle at the moment. It's just turning. It's turning. So I'll put that on demo. leave it on that. And modify. I always do market execution and then put the stop loss in. So you want it 89608, so 0.89708 is 10 pips. What have I done wrong there? Oh, 89708. So that's 10 pips above because we're in a sell. Just slow for some reason. Thank you. And then that's NZD/USD going off. I'll put that on here. Minus 1.9. NZD/USD. Sorry, let me just. I always follow the same process, 89608, because then you don't have to think about it when you're doing something live, rather than, oh, I needn't bother changing what I'm doing on here. I do change it, and I do follow the same discipline, because then it becomes second nature. So that's how I would be if we were in on it on a live account. And then I would draw my lines at my 10 pip with an alert for the take stop profit, and I draw another line. Chance doesn't, but I do, just to remind me I need to put 1 pip stop profit in, or trail it 3 pips behind the 62, depending on where it is and how fast the pair is. And what was that one that just went off? We just looked at NZD/USD, was it? I think. So I think a lot of us haven't found the markets particularly easy this week. I just wonder if it was 3 days of no red news meant the banks didn't have a lot to say for themselves, and the end of August as well. But there's red news tomorrow and Friday, so that probably make the markets move a bit better for us. So can take buys or sells. We'd put alerts either side. That's obviously moved quite fast, which I'm surprised about for this pair. So it's either going to be a break and a retest to the upside. That has moved quite a lot for this pair, though. That's just done. And oh, that's only off quarter theory, so we couldn't have taken that anyway. So it's just done 24 pips in just under the hour. So either here you're going to have it stalling out, rejecting off. You're looking for only ever looking for 2 things apart from consolidation, which we don't often suffer because we're on the 1-minute chart. So we're looking for that move or that move. At the moment, you've got the oranges crossed above the blue. You've got the upward momentum. NZD/USD is a slower pair, so it doesn't always do, you know, like 50 pips a session or something. And it's already done half of that. If that's 50 pips, it's already done 25. And then sometimes I have a little look back and see what it's been doing before. So these are full day sessions, and I think it's very important to use this indicator at the top, because I can look here and I can say, okay, then on the 24th, which was Monday, just get rid of that while I'm over here. Price didn't do a lot. It stayed along the pitchfork. It went up to the next pitchfork just above quarter theory, and then in New York dropped back down. So probably a 25 pip range. And then Tokyo, nothing much. London, 20-25 pips up to there. Stall out in New York, and close of market through to Tokyo. nothing, 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 nothing. And then London, it's made a bit of a move, about, as we said, about 25 pips. Stall out in, sorry, that was Tokyo, coming out of Tokyo to London. It did a sudden move, then stall out again, and now it's pushing on up. And you can see that trend is now up. So, and you can also tell from that how long it takes to do anything. It's quite a slow pair. Nothing wrong with that. Just manage your expectations about number of pips and how long it's going to take a pair like this to move, and in what session it's going to move as well. So EURGBP, which obviously Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, similar. So here we have two very nice, that's saying buy me. So one break and retest, buy me. Second break and retest, please buy me. If it were me, I'd wait for the orange line to get above the pitchfork. The cynic in me says, you know, please don't curl round and do the dirty on us and come back down, because these aren't hugely fast pairs. I know you can say, oh, look at that. But like I've just described on the New Zealand dollar, though obviously Australian dollar's a bit stronger, I think. I don't use the currency thing. But I think you'll probably find that this moves a bit more. Back to the 15-minute, back to the pitchfork, down to quarter theory, drops back through there. So it's making a bigger swing at the moment. But I don't like the way that 62 curls like that. You know, it makes me a little bit suspicious. And if you put the pivots on, maybe you'll see that it's dropping. So lower high there. We have got a higher low, but you can see this is now dropped or dropping below that. In which case, if this is going to turn around, then I would go back myself and I look at the correlating pair, the NZD pair, and I think, oh, good, okay, well then maybe that's going to look good for us to look for the sell, because its sister pair is looks like it's not able to push on up higher. And then, as I say, I'll sometimes come over here, so we're minus 0.8 on EURGBP, and then put the, if I was interested in getting into one of them for a trade, let me just find them over here, EURGBP, I'd sweep that along there, and then NZD, USD. I don't do this all the time, but I do like to do it. That one down here, and then that just gives me a really quick way of having a look. So I can see the SAR has flipped. So although it was, I always keep them on the 1 minute, by the way, because that's what we trade off. So I can see this, although the price, as we saw on the charts, has pushed up, the SAR has flipped, saying it's going to push back down. And again, it's done it here. Now, do remember this is a lagging indicator, like most of them are, but that's why we choose this one. Not on this strategy, it's from another strategy, and I only use it on here. I never put it on my charts. We've got it on the 5 for 3 and 5 for 5, haven't we, on the charts there? So I understand it, and it's at 0.2. Sometimes people have it on 0.6, so it's a very tight flip. And you can see on both the pairs that it's saying it's dropping back down. So if you're, because this strategy is so precise on the 1 minute, I just find this a very quick way of having a quick little look at what price thinks it's doing. And then I keep the 62 there as well. So that's how I do really like the MT4. I know it's old-fashioned, but I just like the big pip counter, and I like the screens. Maybe it's because I got so used to it. I'm thinking of putting some money back into this and trading off this as well, because I just like it. As I always got on very well with it as a trading platform. But a lot of, I've never had Macs. A lot of people struggle because of setting their Macs up to trade. So here we are, we're in profit on that EURGBP now. So I'll just finish off by having a look at that. That is dropping down, which is nice to see. It is a slow pair, so don't expect huge things from it. And it's out of session technically, and that will affect the way pairs move. So just have a look if you are in it. Even if you take what we do on demo, it's good practice. That's what I like to do. So look carefully at how the trade is progressing at that quarter theory level, and back to that D point, which is probably 15, 17 pips from our entry on there. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope some of that's helpful. I'll just look at the chat, see if there's anything in there. Nothing in the chat, and thanks very much for joining. So today is Wednesday, isn't it? So I'll see you all tomorrow, Thursday, for our London session, and have a good rest of your day. Bye for now.